today. I'm Megan Watson. I'm on the AI product marketing team here at Zendesk, and I will be your host for our event today. I want to thank everyone who's taking the time out of their day to join our event and learn more about the change management aspects of AI and how to best approach implementing it into your team's day-to-day. So first and foremost, though, if you're newer to Zendesk, we encourage you to check out a recent webinar that we hosted earlier this year, giving more detail about what is Zendesk AI and how you can leverage it today, not only for your customers, but also for your agents and your admins. So we'll link out the link to that webinar and a pretty slick demo as well to help bring you up to speed. But for today's event, let's go through the agenda if we can. AI is everywhere, as you all are aware. And when it comes to customer service, really the opportunities with AI are endless. And businesses are really ready to start taking advantage. So we're going to discuss this a bit more to really help set the stage. But since businesses are ready to get started, there's still that change management aspect that may feel daunting. And that's why we're here today. We want to share tips and tricks with you all from our team who rolled out AI within our advocacy team here at Zendesk. But then we also have a customer here with us today, Benevity. So Heather, who is the VP of Client Support at Benevity, is here to share her perspective as well and how it was rolling out Zendesk AI to her teams. So we've got a really great group of people here to share some tips and tricks. And then we're going to wrap up the last 30 minutes of this event with our live Q&A. And we've got a ton of product experts here to help answer your questions. Quick housekeeping. We will be recording this event. In fact, we already are. And we will be recording, but after the event, you'll receive that recording, the deck as well, and Q&A for reference. And then one last reminder, we have the chat going. Love it. Everyone's sharing where they're calling in from. It's also a great place to say hello to people and network. But if for your specific questions that you want to ask our product experts, we encourage you to please use the Q&A tab, which you can find down below. So just make sure that you're asking your specific questions there. That's where our product experts will be. And we just ask that you give them some time to answer your questions. All right, and then I want to highlight who those speakers and experts are today. So next slide. We've got a ton of experts here today who work very closely with Zendesk AI. These individuals are going to walk us through their tips and tricks and best practices, and they're also here to answer all of your questions live here at the event. So great crew of people. Please be patient with them. Give them time to answer your question, and anything we don't get to, we for sure will follow up after the event. Cool. All right, let's get started. So at Zendesk, our view is that AI is not just going to revolutionize how customers are served. It's also going to redefine the roles of your agents. So behind every great agent, there's going to be a host of AI systems working in the background. So within that first year, agents will continue to work closely with AI, acting as troubleshooters. In 3 years, agents will become those specialized experts and using AI as a sidekick. And then in 5 years, we feel things will change even more. Agents will manage and oversee AI, handling tricky situations and coming up with those creative solutions. But really, we're not there yet. So next slide, we're seeing that disconnect between CX and leaders. CX leaders and agents. And actually, from our CX trends report that we released earlier this year, we found that leaders have been really, of course, taken by the promise of AI, 70% of them seeing positive outcomes from agents using these AI tools, but yet only 36% of agents report that their current AI tools are making their jobs easier. And some might even fear that their jobs will be replaced completely by AI. But we're here to help you evolve. And how do you bridge that disconnect between leaders and agents? So next slide, please. At this time, I want to take the time to introduce Marlinda Gallipan. She's our conversational designer here at Zendesk, and she's been teaching bots to speak human since 2015. She actually previously worked at Yahoo, Adobe, and Salesforce, so we're thrilled not only to have her here at Zendesk, but also share her expertise today. She's going to walk you through some specific best practices to help you take advantage of all the promise and potential of AI. And then after we hear from Marlinda, we're also going to hear from Heather at Benevity on how she managed this evolution successfully as a CX leader of a global team. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Marlinda. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for the intro, Megan. Yes, as Megan said, I am a conversation designer here at Zendesk, and I'm so excited to share with you the best practices we recommend to prepare your agents for AI. And without further ado, let's dive into each in more detail. Next slide, please. So the reality is, like, a lot of agents are scared. They're worried about new technology and what it means for their job security. Change is scary, and as a conversation designer, I designed the language and interactional flows for chatbots. And even I had a moment where I questioned my own job security. That's why, as leaders, you need to first directly address the uncertainty your agents might feel about starting to use AI. And just setting the right expectations about how AI will actually make your agents' lives much easier. Next slide, please. So, like, how can you do that? How can you set up your agents up for success? When introducing AI, it's really important to instill the belief that AI is here to assist them and not replace them. It's really just a collaborative tool. So you want to communicate those specific benefits they can expect, such as reducing repetitive tasks and enhancing decision-making capabilities. You want to give your agents a voice in the process by, like, conducting surveys and focus group. Ask them how they're feeling about it and how, when they use it, what kind of pitfalls or hesitations they have around it. And this kind of, like, creates a sort of collaborative environment where people feel like they're part of the process, and it makes it feel a little less scary for them. And so really, you want to emphasize that AI is a sandbox. Allow them to experiment in a low-risk environment. That's the most important thing. Start with something low risk that won't completely upend your business before it becomes a standard part of your workflow. And so this hands-on experience is really just great for gathering feedback and getting people kind of like dipping their toes into the technology. Next slide, please. Next, we've heard a lot of companies say that it's challenging to get agents to trust new technology. So when implementing a transformative tool like AI, it's important to build trust by clearly communicating these expectations. And this can help lessen the feeling that we're all walking in the dark and remove that uncertainty. And you do that you can start by designing comprehensive training programs and testing phases, so both you and your agents can realize the benefits. And how to do that. So you want to start by documenting the specific ways that AI will be integrated into your agent's workflows, and share training resources. I think that's the most important thing too. When people are starting to get, especially when ChatGPT first came out and everyone had access to the tool, people just didn't know where to start, how to use the tool. And also utilize side-by-side before and after demos to showcase AI in action. And this can show how AI can handle the boring parts of the jobs, allowing then your agents to focus on more meaningful work. And you want to set baseline KPIs before deploying AI to effectively monitor shifts in metrics as new capabilities are enabled. And we recommend tracking key metrics such as first response times, CSATs, and ticket reopens. And lastly, consider choosing a specific support channel to implement a targeted AI pilot. And then you can gather data from this pilot and understand more the insights and share the insights. And during the pilot, you want to experiment with these things, and this can help you build a solid foundation. So next, this is something that we feel is kind of like highly underrated best practice for leveraging AI, is using it to onboard new agents more efficiently. Many companies cite agent attrition and the cumbersome process of training new agents as a significant stress point. So by utilizing AI for onboarding, you can alleviate these challenges. Next slide, please. And here's how to do this. You want to lean on AI agents to help gather all the right customer context. I mean, who here enjoys having to re-explain what they need help with a second or third time every time you're passed off onto another bot or a human? Next, use AI to equip agents with context and recommended actions. Like AI can suggest the most effective responses by aggregating past and similar tickets. And this is really beneficial for new and developing agents, helping them to quickly get up to speed. You can also gradually increase the complexity of the requests so that agents handle so they can learn. And you want to use AI to route tickets to the right person based on their skill level and capacity. And as agents ramp up, you can automatically route them to more complicated issues. And so this is one way, too, that you can really personalize the experience when you have different customers with different needs. Next slide, please. Right, so to boost team performance and service quality, let's dive into the role of AI in what we call workforce management. Workforce engagement management. This is the combination of workforce management, which is all about forecasting, scheduling, and productivity, and QA, which involves making sure that your service quality is up to par. And this is important, especially when considering the challenges your teams are currently facing, like surging ticket volumes, distributed teams, and evolving customer preferences. So think of AI-powered workforce management and quality assurance as two new teammates that help you stay agile and manage through these challenges. In one corner, you have WFM as the conductor of an orchestra, ensuring that the right number of musicians or agents are present and that they're playing the right instruments and that they have the right skills. And in the other corner of your business, you have picture QA as the detective, working to analyze and score interactions in the moment, gathering evidence, analyzing trends, and identifying opportunities for you to improve. So together, these tools ensure that everything runs smoothly for both your human teams and the AI systems you're using. Next slide, please. Last but not least, to help your agents and your business get the most out of AI, you're going to want to tap into insights to surface opportunities and hone in on recurring issues. With these insights, you can continuously improve your service and enhance your operations over time. So how to do this? First, you want to create a feedback loop where agents can quickly flag inaccurate AI responses. This promotes engagement and gives you systematic feedback on how to improve. You want to regularly update your AI based on this feedback to make it more useful over time. It's never a one and done thing. I will tell you, with AI, it's always an experiment. And it's so important. I can't emphasize this enough, to iterate. Next, use AI-powered analytics to discover trends. So you want to look out for problem areas like tickets with a high number of agent replies or long resolution times for particular issues. And lastly, we recommend setting up a dedicated forum, such as a Slack channel or a recurring meeting, to keep agents updated and encourage feedback sharing. This helps foster an environment where agents feel valued and empowered to contribute to improving things. I think I went through that pretty quick. Any questions?
Oh, it's a lot of great content. And Marlinda, thank you for walking us through that. And I appreciate you taking the time kind of sharing these tips and tricks, especially from your perspective. We're going to try something new here today, folks. So we encourage you to continue to keep asking questions in the Q&A. So, feel free to use that spot. Again, we have experts answering your questions, but we want to pause to see if there are any specific for Marlinda that she can answer based on what she just presented. And I can ask one just to get it started, Marlinda, if you don't mind.
Okay.
It's a lot, and I think you gave us some good info on kind of how to get started and really strategy and what to be thinking about. But from your perspective, with like the Zendesk AI tools, where do you recommend getting started?
Ooh, yeah, there's so much going on right now. Honestly, if you have simple answers, like going back, when getting started, I think it's important to figure out what questions you want to answer for your customers. And then if it's simple enough that it's never going to change, then I recommend a we call it in my field descriptive flows instead of using NLU. And then if you have, for example, a product where an article keeps changing, that's when you want to use generative AI. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm going to grab Luke. Thank you for asking a question here. Luke is asking, giving agents a sandbox to play in with AI. They have a sandbox instance that doesn't have all the triggers and features that the live version does. So from your perspective, Merlinda, like how would you release AI on a small scale without using the Zendesk sandbox feature?
Right. So for even us right now in my team, we actually, so we lean heavily more into the ultimate tool. So I'm going to speak from that perspective. In our production bot, what we do is, and it's a really interesting testing environment. Sometimes we will test in production using specific triggers that only, for example, I will create a keyword that I know that will start an entire flow when testing a chatbot, so that no other customer can accidentally fall into it. It's live and in production. So that's one way to test it. I know Sandbox sometimes can be. We're also working on our own Sandbox, but yeah, there are ways to work around when trying to test something to make sure everything works well on your production.
Awesome. Thanks, Marlinda. And thank you, Luke, for the questions. Continue to submit your questions in the Q&A. We appreciate it. Appreciate it, Marlinda. Thank you again. We'll move on to the next section where I have the pleasure of introducing Heather from Benevity, and very excited to have you here, Heather. Let's move to the next slide. Before we kind of dive in, I want to introduce our audience to Benevity. So Benevity is a global company headquartered in Calgary, Canada, with large hubs across Europe, Asia, and Australia. Benevity enables and supports over 20 million change makers across the world. We're really excited to have Benevity here, and here at Zendesk, we're also a customer of Benevity. Heather, we'd love to hear from you. Introduce yourself. Let the audience know a little bit more about you.
Sure. Thanks, Megan. I'm Heather Eeles, the VP of Client Support at Benevity, and I've got the unique and lovely role of leading all of our support teams. So we actually work with a bigger audience of at Benevity, where we have nonprofits that we work with. We also work with big organizations and their goodness program administrators, as well as all of their employees. And so my team supports every aspect of whatever their program is in making change happen. And so we have about 1,000 clients with millions and millions of change makers, either making donations, logging volunteer time, or doing an act of goodness around the world. We average about 350 to 400,000 support requests a year across our entire ecosystem. And we have dispersed over $12 billion to nonprofit communities. So when a world crisis comes into play, our teams get super, super busy because we work with those clients in making change happen and supporting that world crisis.
Awesome. Thank you, Heather. And again, we're very excited to have you here and learn a little bit more from you on how your teams are using Zendesk AI. So let's kind of pause on the slides for a minute. We'll get into fireside chat mode. Too bad we don't have like a beautiful fire kind of burning in the background for everyone. But Heather, could you share which Zendesk AI tools you are leveraging today and how you're using them?
Yeah, for sure. We pretty much use every one of them. We've signed up for every EAP possible, and every feature that's actually released, we've have it installed for the AI. Our favorite and most used AI feature is the make more friendly button when finessing the tone of the response. And the reason why that is the most used is because it is directly a good example of Benevity's tone and how we talk to our clients, our users, and our nonprofits. And so it's really great to have our teams be able to just at a click of a button finesse the language and sound like what we want to sound like at Benevity. We also use sentiment analysis. So basically when we get a negative or a very negative sentiment ticket that comes in, we have rules in place that automatically prioritizes that request and also brings it to the awareness of our operations leads so that we're jumping on those escalated situations faster. But like I said, we use pretty much everything. We use Summarize, we use Intense, we have AI bots. We now use that call transcribe. We use suggested macros, suggested tickets, all of them.
Awesome. This is great, Heather. And apologies in advance. You're probably going to have a lot of people reaching out to you since you use all the tools. So
It's all good. Yeah, happy to.
Fantastic. And thanks for sharing a bit more there. When it comes to the change management strategy, like what was your approach in introducing these AI tools to your CX operations?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's probably most the important thing to do is manage the change of implementing the AI. You're not going to get the ROI unless you actually get people adopting the tools and adopting the features. So we actually had a dedicated role stood up to drive the change. And so that means training our agents. It meant constantly updating new features and making awareness across the business of those new features. The whole team was quite excited about AI. We are a technology organization. So when you say something new and exciting in technology, we jump all over it. But we had a person, 2 people actually stood up to just adopt the AI across our support teams. And we got to the place where now every Friday there's a new video that says, hey, have you thought about this feature? Have you tried this feature? And we actually share that across the business for all the teams that work within Zendesk.
I absolutely love that. So of the 2 that you've kind of put in this role, they're coming up with little like tips and tricks weekly for the rest of the team.
Yeah, and now we actually see people collaborating more on the AI features. Like we'll do a walk by in a team meeting and people are talking about, hey, did you know that this exists? Can you try this out? So we've built onboarding with the new AI features. And yeah, we're just really, our teams are quite excited about it.
That's great. Well, I'm glad they were excited. I think still maybe other teams are worried about like the trust aspect and building trust with their agents and more so like presenting it as like, this will help you. Obviously, it sounds like your teams were very excited to use it, but did you have to do any like trust building, kind of that initial piece to kind of get them wanting to use these tools?
Yeah, of course. I think really understanding their pain points. So for us, our support teams, when a world crisis happens, which is truly unfortunate, we have such a wide vast of clients that want to support and users that want to support that world crisis. So our support volume triples in size in a matter of moments. And so every time that happens, our agents get so overwhelmed with what's in front of them and being able to answer fast because they too see the world crisis going on. And so they want to actually provide the extra support too, but they know that I just received 5,000 support requests in a matter of 5 minutes. Like, how are we ever going to go through this? So understanding what from their lens that problem was, we were able to show how AI can actually help in those times so that they can, better respond. They have quicker responses. We're directing tickets to the people that have the confidence or know how to really run with those types of tickets. And so we presented it and got them bought in by truly showing that it's solving their problem. Not solving, yes, it solves a business problem, but it's solving their problem. So understanding what's really important to them and meaningful for them is really necessary in order to get them to try something new.
Amazing. Definitely understanding their position and their pain points. Super valuable. So thank you for that insight. My next question is just really around how did leveraging these tools, improve, your automation capabilities and improve your overall agent onboarding? And actually, Brett, if you don't mind, we're going to bring up that a slide. You've got some pretty incredible results that you've been seeing from using Zendesk AI. So we'd love to learn a little bit more about how maybe it's helped you scale and improve your agent onboarding.
Yeah, we started with truly using intent to help auto-categorize support requests. And so when we bring somebody on in our support team, it's normally a training of 6 weeks long, roughly. And I think by week 4 or 5, they're actually hands-on in the queue and touching tickets and responding to tickets. The challenge that we saw is when those folks were ready to handle tickets, they had to hunt through thousands of support tickets to actually get to the ones that they were trained on and then they could build confidence in. And so using the AI feature intent allowed us to automatically categorize those type of tickets that new members were trained on and can answer. And so it built their confidence faster. And so instead of hunting through this big, huge queue of support tickets, they actually had a view with the ones that they were trained on, and they could quickly answer and quickly gain confidence. And we found that we can move to the next topic in their training a lot faster. And we actually now see people in the queue within that third week of their training because they have that level of confidence. So we slimmed down. Yeah, it's still a 6-week training program, but they're already actioning requests within the first 3 weeks, which is amazing.
Amazing. Incredible results. And we've kind of are sharing those here on the screen. So thank you for sharing that. How do you make sure AI keeps functioning at this peak performance and continuing to boost your agent productivity, for example?
Yeah, well, it's still new for us. I think we implemented all the features just at the end of February. And every time there's a new feature, we tag on and put it in place. But we constantly have those best practices sessions with our teams, the Ask Me Anything style lessons to make sure that people are getting their questions answered. Or if they have concerns about an AI feature or how to use it, that they have an outlet to go ask those questions. I know that Zendesk just released their AI dashboard too. So we've been playing around with that and keeping a good pulse on, who is using the AI features and which ones they're using and who's not using them and why aren't they using them. So we actually reach out to people in our teams to say, hey, have you tried this feature yet? Let's walk through it together. And we handhold a little bit more just to make sure that people are truly adopting the new features and trying them out. By having some of our AI features enabled, our teams are saying that they're saving like 1 to 5 minutes on each support request, which is pretty impeccable. We didn't really measure it beforehand because it was so brand new for us, but it also lets us get to a place where we're answering faster. Our CSAT is higher because we're answering faster. And so our CSAT is even increased by 10%. So we have very clear metrics now as a baseline of how we want to use AI, how we report on how many people are using AI, and then the actual results of it. The most important one that you see on here, the 58%, because we put sentiment analysis in place, we're able to action those negative feeling tickets and those users 58% faster than other users, which, if you think about it, if you reached out to a client organization today and you're upset about something, you don't want to sit there and wait for a day for a response. So we're answering them within the hours. So they're no longer waiting. So I think it's a combination between seeing the report in Zendesk of who is using the AI, but also watching your metrics, your standard metrics, and how they're improving over time.
Incredible. You did mention there a little bit about how you're having these meetings internally with teams. Obviously that's one big aspect of ensuring, this continuous feedback loop, making sure that you're continuously improving. Anything else around kind of getting more from your teams on how you're continuing to improve? I know you mentioned you're having meetings and things like that. Anything else you wanted to share?
Yeah, I think it's just truly connecting with your team and seeing how things are being used. And also using the reporting that Zendesk offers. We even look at the bot reporting now to see how many people are able to self-serve more than before with our new bot and our new workflow. It's really about connecting. So every chance we have or every meeting that we have, we talk to people about the new AI features and functionality. We're actually rolling out this over the summer months, a full customer service training for every single support person, just a re-level set. And part of that too is how are you using AI to serve your customers more? So it's that connection. It's really multi-pronged in capturing feedback and sharing that feedback. We also, we have great relationships with the Zendesk product managers and your team too, Megan. And so we share that feedback back to Zendesk as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, Heather. One last question. What does the future look like for Benevity with AI? What are you thinking next?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. We have one of the bots. We have one bot installed right now for our nonprofit community. Their name is Georgie. And we're looking at installing 2 other bots, one for our employees, so the employees of all our clients, and also the administrators of our clients. So it's the bot focus more in the future that we're really interested in, because that'll also enable us to turn on Messenger and have more of a live chat experience longer term, which we don't offer today. So that's really our primary focus. But we're also looking at ways that we connect Zendesk with Benevity specific data. So for example, we have users sometimes that want to know where their donation is. Did it get sent to the nonprofit, or is it still being processed? And so being able to answer that question, because we have the data, it's in our backend systems, but be able to use that data, able to automatically respond to that user is something that we're really excited about it as well. And then finally, every time I get to meet with my Zendesk crew and seeing the AI roadmap, there's so much value there and benefit that we love partnering, and we're looking at the next big thing for AI from Zendesk.
Awesome. Well, you've been a wonderful partner, and thank you for this opportunity to just learn a little bit more from you. We'll bring back the slides if that's all right. And again, just like we did with Merlinda, I would love the opportunity to pull a couple live questions from the Q&A. We've got some really great ones in there. First and foremost, so we'll do 2. Meredith is asking, how do you measure the 1 to 5 minute per ticket? Is it based on self-reported, or are you using any specific reporting, and maybe can share a bit more there?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. One, it's more subjective based on what our team members are seeing. We don't have a really great way of measuring because we don't have baselines around resolution rates as of yet. So it's more the sentiment from our agents on how much time they're saving on the support request. But we are putting baselines in place for resolution times on specific tickets that we know have a high AI activity on. And so we can see that over time. Are we solving those tickets faster?
Awesome. And you mentioned also the generative AI dashboard too. That has been wonderful on the ticket metric side, showing you how the tools might be impacting the first and full resolution time too. So just kind of plugging that one again here too for you, Meredith. Hopefully that helps as well. And then one more question. Does Benevity have plans to do work in the future with South Africa? Because we do have a couple people calling in from South Africa.
Oh, that's a great question. I would love to connect afterwards, potentially.
All right, I love it. We're making connections here. So Heather, thank you again for taking the time. And let's move on to the Q&A.
Thank you.
Which might be confusing to everyone because we are answering questions here. But these are questions that you submitted in advance of the event when you registered for the event. And we've taken the time to go through those, grabbed a few, and our experts on the call are going to be answering them here. But again, continue to ask your questions in the live chat. We do have people still helping there as well. All right. Devin, I think I'm letting you take over from here. Or Brett.
Hey everyone, Brett here from the Zendesk community team. I'll be leading our Q&A discussion today. So why don't we go ahead and jump right in. All right. So our first question is for Heather, asked by Joe T. Our team has yet to adopt AI. Where do you recommend getting started?
Oh, that's a great question. I think Marlinda said it really well, is start small and start with something internal. So my recommendation is start with a small process that doesn't necessarily impact your clients or your team drastically when they trialing out in the waters of AI. That's why we started with sentiment analysis, because all it was routing tickets and prioritizing tickets in the same way. We didn't have to change the behaviors of our clients. We didn't have to change the behaviors of our agents. Yet we were seeing value in having those tickets being routed in a different way. So the second internal AI feature that we implemented was intent analysis. Same reason. We didn't have to change the behaviors of people to get the value of using those features, yet it was a really easy change on our system and provided value of getting people their answers faster or getting agents comfortable with being able to respond to requests faster.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that, Heather. And thank you, Joe, and everyone else that had that question. We had quite a few questions on how to get started with that. So thank you all for asking that. Another question for Heather by Kelsey. What is the biggest change for agents with AI?
Yeah, that's a really great question as well. The biggest change was for our team was just getting them to try it the very first time. And it was not because they didn't want to, but it was more of their own capacity. And it's like they envisioned this, oh my God, this is going to be difficult for me to do, when really it's not. It was a press of a button. So really pushing individuals to try and finesse the language options or just try one thing. Once they tried the one thing, they're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Let's go in and try these other features that we're kind of promoting. So now I have the team member that uses Make More Friendly on every single support ticket because it saves them time personally and they can move on to the next one.
Great. I'm sure they're all a little wary after watching the Terminator movie, so I get their hesitation.
Especially when their VP is named Heather. Isn't that one of the names in the movie?
All right. And another question for Heather by Paul. Which AI tool has been your single biggest time saver for your agents?
Oh, I'm going to give you two, not one. The first one I would say is the new call transcript. So, which I don't even know if it's live yet or if it's just an EAP. So I'm sorry, but this has been a huge game changer for our team members because when they're off a call now, they don't have to spend the next 3 or 4 minutes writing a response or writing a summary in the ticket. It's already there for them. It does the whole transcribe of the call and it does a call log summary, which is amazing. The first one, the call log. And then the second one, like I've mentioned a couple of times, is the Make More Friendly. And it's really because it is the Benevity tone. It is the friendly tone that we want people to be using and have been using. But our team no longer needs to sit back and finesse their own words. They still do on certain cases, like they use the Make More Friendly, but they're not spending the time they would before really stopping and finessing their language because the AI is that good.
That's awesome. That's good to hear.
And just before we transition, the AI-powered call transcripts went live at the beginning of July. So it's new.
All right. Moving on to the next question. This one is for Megan. So Heather, we'll give you a little break here. Question from Kristen. Are we able to use AI for one brand and turn it off for another?
Great question. So if you're using multiple brands, you can use the dropdown to select a brand to apply to the bot. But if you're not using multiple brands and you're just in one instance, there isn't at the moment a way to kind of distinguish between groups. But if you're using multiple brands, you kind of can distinguish.
Great question, Kristen. All right, this question is for Marlinda from Molly. How can we set expectations with customers about AI versus human support?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. And there are a few things I'd recommend to help level set your customers' expectations for what a bot can do. In conversations, you want to, from the bot, avoid saying things like, ask me anything. This basically opens up a can of worms and you're inviting your customer to try and prick your bot. People will want to ask, what's for lunch? Or who will win gold medals in the Olympics today? With that being said, you won't be able to prevent people from saying just anything. So it's important to have that fallback reply ready. Something like, I can help with XYZ. What would you like to do? So really, you just kind of want to nudge people who try to come off the scope of what your bot is able to do. And in the welcome message, the greeting, you can do the same. Offer a few things that you can help with. Hi, I'm a digital assistant. I can help you track your order, create a ticket, or start a refund. For us, when we first implemented our bot, the first thing it said was hi. And so customers would say hi. And then we're kind of left with, well, what do you want? Give us a little more. So we kind of implemented the buttons, and that greatly helped set people's expectations for what it is that they do next.
Thank you, Marlinda. And thank you, Molly, for the question. Give me 1 second here. Here we go. Great. All right, next question from Marlinda from Henry. What do AI bots actually do and what are they capable of?
Yeah, really, AI bots are just to help you automate and resolve your customers' issues across your channels. What I like to use AI bots for is, you can connect your help center to your bot, and then the bot can formulate answers for you. And now you don't have to spend hours and hours of resources and time to maybe answering all 800 different answers to questions for your company or product. And something I'm personally excited to see in bots is now they're slowly moving away from the FAQ model, because that's what bots were originally made for, is answering questions. Now, with technology that has evolved, the bot can perform tasks on the customer's behalf. Something that we're building is, for example, if a customer says something like, I'd like to update my address, and the bot asks, what would you like to update the address to? And it can do it for you. No more trying to log in and navigate a hard website. So that's what I'm excited about.
Can they do my taxes?
I would recommend no. Maybe one day.
Oh, okay, perfect. I have something to look forward to. All right, next question is for Justin. Is it possible for the bot to hold a conversation instead of answering questions one by one?
Yeah, so this one's a little tricky. I believe everybody here is familiar with ChatGPT. They're kind of the poster child of AI today. And if you've ever interacted with ChatGPT, it is kind of a conversational type thing. Although our bot can be conversational, kind of the point of it. I mean, I guess the main point of it is to be, in a way, transactional. It does want to help you answer those questions. So with bot personas, you could make it a little more affable, your bot, by using like a friendly tone in the persona. And additionally, you could create answer flows as well to make the bot more conversational. But at the end of the day, it is there to improve customer experience and agent experience.
Great. Thanks, Justin, and thank you for the question.
Yeah.
Another question for you by Jason. When should I use an answer flow when I have generative bot replies enabled?
Yeah, so this is a good question. So generative replies work with our platform by delivering AI-generated answers in response to your customer requests using information from your help center, so articles. You would want to use an answer flow in your bot if you have questions from customers that are not readily available with content from your help center, or if they don't match an intent if you use intents. Yeah, that about covers it. So if you have anything that doesn't fit in the scope of your help center, then that's when the answer flow would come in handy. Like Marlinda was saying, maybe if there's like a process involved wanting to update an address of sorts, you could utilize the make an API call step to pull from external sources or put information into external sources. Yeah, it's a good question.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Next question is from Marlinda by Trisha. Is there a way to train the AI agent to speak with our company language?
Currently, good question. I wish this too, but our bots right now are not as flexible in terms of being able to adapt to a company's brand and language. We have variations in tone, friendly, professional, and neutral, I believe. And I know there are many others who have asked this question, and we're working on it. It would be great to do this one day for sure.
All right, great question. Marlinda by Larissa. Do you have any tips on how to make the bot smarter?
Ooh, good question. There's so much to say about this one. This can probably be its own event. Some things I would recommend is you'd want to include a wide range of scenarios in your data training and intents to improve the bot's ability to handle different situations. And especially in recognizing the different ways that people will speak English, for example. You want to be able to reach all your audiences. Because there's not just one right English. Some people might say, instead of where to find this thing, they might say how to find or how can I. And so you want to include all of that in the data, training data. You want to also gather feedback on the bot's responses and use this feedback to refine the algorithms. And again, have a fallback that guides users when the customer asks a question outside of the bot scope, like as I mentioned earlier. Conduct regular audits of the bot's performance to identify and address gaps. I can't emphasize this enough. It's always an iterative process. It's never a one and done thing. And you can also personalize interactions by creating conditional branches for different customers. These are a few things I start with.
Great question. It's also important to feed your bot its fruits and veggies, so make sure you do that as well.
Exactly.
All right, next question is for Justin. What is the best structure help center articles to get the best results with AI?
Awesome. Great question once again from Mikey. So we have an article on optimizing your help center content for bot utilization. And within that article, we have actually 3 ways that will help provide the best results with AI. One of them is article titles. So giving your article titles that are phrased similar in a way that your customers would input that into your widget. So instead of doing like, how do I change my password? It would say like, password reset. Another way is to narrow the article's focus. I'm sure a lot of people on this call, they might have some help center articles or maybe processes that are all documented into one article. We recommend splitting up articles into separate topics, which will make it easier for the bot to and AI to ingest that information and cater it towards the end user experience. Yeah, so like if you have a process on how to create an account, you would want to break that up. So then when your customers reach in, maybe they're stuck at a certain part of the process, then the bot will be able to recognize where they are and assist them from there instead of having them start from the top. It's an age-old IT joke to say, have you tried turning it off and back on again? So like that would eliminate that sort of redundancy. And then the third thing is to write an article introduction. So the first 75 words of an article are going to be weighed more heavily in how the bot is influenced to pick which article is best suited for the conversation at hand. So use it with that information, catering the first 75 words of the article to kind of like describe what the article's about will help provide best results with AI. Let me drop that article in the chat now.
And while you're dropping that in, Justin, another tip is that I learned recently actually is keeping those help center articles to around like 600 words. So between 400 and 600 words is a sweet spot. Something that I think is good to keep in mind.
Yeah, I bet that kind of ties in with the narrowing the article's focus, but that's good to know.
Great question, Mikey. Next question is for Justin. Can the Zendesk bot AI agent reference content outside of our help center?
So at this moment, it is just going to use help center content. I know in the near future, it will be able to expand its scope. I think I'll just leave it at that. Unless anybody else wants to add on that.
We'll just put a big TBD on that.
Yeah.
No, I think it's definitely in our roadmap, and something we're talking about around the federated search capabilities. So lots coming there, kind of early, hopefully early next year.
Yeah, we did just acquire Ultimate, and Ultimate has that capability.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the future is looking bright.
Great. Next question we have is for Megan from Barbara. How can we integrate AI into the Explore tool?
Awesome. And before I answer this question, I just want to remind everyone, these are a lot of great questions, a lot of good ones around bots, or as we call them, AI agents. But just a friendly reminder, from Zendesk AI, we're thinking about agents, admins, and your customers. So, if you're newer to Zendesk AI, we definitely encourage you to check out that webinar from earlier this year. Hopefully it helps you understand kind of all the offerings to help streamline across your entire organization. So, but thank you for these questions. They're really, really good. Regarding the AI in Explore and just general reporting around AI, I did plop in a slide here just to give people a bit of a visual and an update on some recent announcements. So next slide. Yeah, thank you. Earlier this year, so around in April, we released our AI agent reporting that provides customers with a detailed insight into their end user interactions, resolved and unresolved topics, and automated resolution rates. This visibility really helps you take actionable steps to enhance your automation rates and boost the performance of that AI agent or bot. And then on the right-hand side here, we talked about it a couple times throughout the event. Earlier this summer, actually, we released the generative AI dashboard. Highly anticipated, really gives customers the ability to quantify the value of these generative AI tools for your agents. When I say generative AI tools for agents, I mean summarize, expand, and tone shift. And just helps you have more visibility into the value that it's providing to both your teams and really your customers. So are these tools making an impact on your first and full resolution times? So we can link out, hopefully in the chat, some links to the Insights dashboard for AI agents, as well as the generative AI dashboard that we recently released for more. Perfect.
All right, moving on to the next question from Megan from Kai. How do you see the roadmap of AI developing over the next 12 to 18 months, and how do we stay on top of it all?
Awesome question. Well, first, how do you stay on top of it all? We definitely encourage you to kind of follow our product announcements page. That's a great place to, I think you can sign up for updates there. And we'll send you and let you know when new stuff is out. So definitely go there. Maybe we can link it out here too if you don't know where to go for that. But I put together a slide for this one as well. So next slide, Brett, thanks. I think because AI is changing so quickly and there's just so much happening, I thought it would be helpful to just talk about it from a theme perspective. And really, where is Zendesk coming from and what are we thinking about throughout the rest of the year and into 2025? So first and foremost, automating those customer experiences. We want to continue to build on smarter self-service for customers and really around scaling and building the right knowledge. So what are some of those generative AI tools that we can leverage in knowledge to help make not only standing up a knowledge base easier, but also maintaining it and making sure that it's relevant and helping you identify gaps and things like that. And then on the bots front, we will continue to invest in our AI agents, really driving that 80% automation, completing tasks that really go beyond the automated responses. So to make this come to life. Our teams are really working on the latest generative technology to make sure those AI agents or bots are able to serve customers in a proactive way, completing business actions as well as custom integrations. And of course, Zendesk has always tried to make sure that these tools are easy to use and easy to set up. Agents as supervisors. So we continue to invest in AI assistants like Copilot, you've probably been hearing about, and we're going to definitely talk more about at our AI Summit in October. So I encourage you to register for that if you're interested. So Copilot, we believe the role of the agent is going to be up-leveled from doer to supervisor, as you saw earlier in the event, this evolution of an agent. Agents will be always in control while scaling the number of tickets they can solve and allowing them to focus on more important, complex tickets. And then over the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to work on making this really a reality, thinking about how to create the most effective, proactive, simple Copilot for service agents specifically. And then the last is data and actions. As you know, AI really gets infused throughout every part of Zendesk and our platform. Our teams are thinking about how to bring that level of automation to some of our admin specific tasks, like reporting specific actions and workflows that might be really cumbersome today and requiring a lot of that developer work. So we want to focus there. And then we're also committed to making sure we're using the most optimal LLMs or large language models out there for customers and their use cases, utilizing these technologies, securely and responsibly. That's a major theme for us, and a major focus is security and trust. So those are the themes. But again, please go to our announcements page and follow that page. You'll get updates as they are released.
Yes, and thank you, Justin, for sharing the link to the announcements. So if anybody hits the follow-up button on the announcement page, you'll get an email notification every time we update that section with any new features that we're releasing. All righty. And then I think that's it for our Q&A portion. We made it through all of our questions. So good job to all of our experts here. And I will go ahead and pass it back to Megan.
Great. Thank you, Brett.